Before we get to the video clip of Tulsi Gabbard being interviewed by Lex Friedman, let's delve into the claim of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chair of the DNC, tilted the scales for Hillary Clinton to win the 2016 Democratic primary. Critics argued that the debate schedule was designed to favor Clinton. Some claimed that the timing of debates was set to minimize viewership and limit exposure for Sanders, who was gaining momentum. Additionally, there were allegations that the number of debates was intentionally limited to prevent Sanders from gaining more visibility. Let's go to this video clip, and following some other key incidents orchestrated by Debbie Wasserman Schultz to contribute to favoring Hillary Clinton.
You were a long-time Democrat. You were the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee until you resigned in 2016 to endorse Bernie. I should say I love Bernie. I loved him before he was cool. All right. Anyway, can you go through what happened in that situation?
Yeah.
And with the Democratic National Committee and with Bernie, and why you resigned?
As a vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, one of the things that the rules of the DNC required was that officers of the DNC, of which we were, as I think there were 5 or 6 of us who were vice chairs at the time, you have to remain neutral in a Democratic primary. So you're not, as a party, supposed to be tipping the scales in any direction for any candidate during a primary election. And so I had no plans to get involved in for any candidate or against any candidate during that primary, in just the hopes of like, all right, we got to make sure that this is a fair and balanced primary so that voters have the best opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choosing. I saw a couple of things pretty quickly. Number one is that the chair of the DNC at the time was a woman named Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a congresswoman out of Florida. And she made very serious decisions unilaterally that many times we found out about via tweet or press release that showed she was tilting the scales in the favor of Hillary Clinton in that 2016 primary. The other thing that I saw was how the mainstream media and those who are supposed to be in a position to be neutral arbiters to facilitate debates and forums and conversations so that voters can be best informed in who they want to vote for, were calling Hillary Clinton the most qualified person ever to run for president in the history of our country because of the positions that she had held as Secretary of State, as a U.S. Senator, as First Lady. And yet they glossed over those titles without ever holding her, asking questions even, or holding her to account for her record, especially in the area of foreign policy. The job she was running for was to be commander-in-chief, to be the president of the United States. That responsibility to serve as commander-in-chief is the foremost responsibility a president has. It's essentially the one area where the president can unilaterally make decisions without education, healthcare, immigration. Congress has to actually pass legislation. President can come through and say, hey, here's the policies that I want. Here's legislation that I'll propose. But those changes can't be made without Congress, working with Congress to pass them. So she was essentially being let off the hook for her record. As an American, as a soldier, as a veteran, that was a big problem for me. And so I made the decision to resign as vice chair of the DNC so that I could endorse Bernie Sanders, who largely at heart, I believe, is a non-interventionist. He hasn't focused a lot on foreign policy. It's not at the heart of what his focus has been for decades, but he was certainly far more of a non-interventionist than Hillary Clinton, who has shown through her record to be the queen of warmongers in Washington. I wanted to be in a position where I would have a platform to inform voters about her record so that they could make that decision for themselves, so that they could see, hey, in this area, on this issue, which is incredibly important, there is a clear contrast between these two candidates running in the Democratic primary. And that's what drove my decision to resign and to endorse Bernie Sanders. And that's what I went on to do throughout the rest of that primary election.
What do you like most about Bernie? The positive.
You know, what I like most about him is he is who he is.
Yeah.
Unapologetically so. Both in personality, but also in what he advocates for and what he's advocated for a long time. So, you know, you can agree or disagree with his positions, but he is who he is.
In December 2015, a breach of the DNC's voter database occurred which allowed Sanders' campaign to briefly access Clinton's proprietary voter data. Wasserman Schultz temporarily suspended the Sanders campaign's access to the database. Some Sanders supporters saw this as evidence of bias, though it's important to note that the DNC's actions were largely aimed at protecting the integrity of the data. In July 2016, WikiLeaks released a trove of emails from the DNC, which included messages suggesting bias against Sanders' campaign. These emails led to Wasserman Schultz's resignation as DNC chair just prior to the Democratic National Convention. The leaked emails fueled perceptions among Sanders supporters that the party establishment was working against their candidate. Well, I hope you like the video and give the channel a subscribe. Also, if you would check out my other channel, Concise Chomsky, the link is on the homepage and in the comment section. Thank you and take care and bye-bye.